today we're jumping into Mindhunter, Season 2, Episode 2. Ooh, I like that. So I was going to start a show called American Crime Story, I believe it's called. But I was like, let me finish this show before I add on a show that's kind of similar in like solving crimes and stuff like that. Let me just finish one show and then worry about the next show. So after I'm done doing this season and wrapping up Mindhunters, we're gonna jump into American Crime Story. I think that's what it's called. And it has 3 seasons. It looks very promising. I hope that the views will be viewing and the likes will be liking and the comments will be commenting, because that's how shows stay on this platform. But I'm ready to get into this. The first episode was good. It was slower, but it was good. And I'm ready to dive in and see what other serial killers we're going to see in this season and who they're going to interview. Things are picking up. So let's just keep on going through with this show and see how good it's going to get. Guys, if you would like to see this in a full reaction, you can on a 2nd and 3rd tier here on this platform that will always help copyright mine, as well as my other platform, Patreon. So if you would like to see this in full reaction, please join one of those platforms today. Please hit that like button, please share, and don't forget to comment down below. Now without further ado, let's jump into Mindhunter and find out exactly what Mindhunter has got to give.
Doing, Bobby Taylor? What? If I were you, Holly, I'd have taken this man in. Oh, and Holly, honey, you better lay off your food. Baker, really?
Is that the Bible?
Secretary. Poor little Gladys Wilman. She had to be...
Never mind, it wasn't the Bible. Kansas.
Bill Tench.
Bernie.
Where do you stand on active leads?
Nobody. Or everybody. Now we're trying to trace the Xerox machine he uses by signature marks on the paper edge. I got 20-year street cops who know more about toner than the copy guy.
Any of the crime scenes accessible?
All of them. They're still vacant. Might as well start at the beginning. Otero. Hope you don't mind a little Willie Nelson.
Not at all.
January 1974. They just moved in 2 months prior. One of them even saw BTK drive off in the family car afterwards. Women around here come home. First thing they do is check the phone still works. 5 years later.
They had 5 kids in this house.
Retired military. Used to base housing.
It makes no sense to come into a house with an adult male and a dog.
Nothing makes sense. Stole Mr. Otero's aviator's watch, but clearly robbery was not his motive.
And the driver's licenses were missing. He was taking souvenirs. Police report said he was suffocated with a plastic bag and a t-shirt.
Otero managed to rip it with his teeth. Put the t-shirt on over his head so he couldn't tear it again, and then put the bag back on.
She had double ligature marks.
Must have come to, so he had to do it again.
The kids must have been in here. They had to have seen everything.
We found the youngest boy on the floor, suffocated. I think he sat to watch the boy die.
He was horrible.
My partner and I were first on the scene. It was completely dark down here. That's when we found the little girl hanging from this pipe.
What happened to the older Otero kids? Any chance I could talk to them?
Relatives in Albuquerque came and got him. Call now and again. 5 years later, they got nothing. Turned over every parolee, every sex offender. My partner and I had stayed over the first 3 nights.
In the house. Insulted Uri Geller before the FBI.
We were grasping at anything. These guys returned to the scene of the crime. We were just going on what we'd always heard.
Ed Kemper, the co-ed killer.
Yeah?
Back. But not out of anything like guilt. Truthfully, we haven't been asking that question, but we probably should.
Wondered, did he know who was working the case? Would he come after us, our wives? Lost a lot of the original task force over the years.
I bet.
It's hard on guys.
Kathy Bright's brother, he's still around.
He's around. We think that's why BTK never named her as a victim. He hadn't claimed 7, we would never have connected her. MO's wrong. 3 bullets in the face. Spent a year in the hospital.
Is he reliable?
He's all we got.
You know I've done undercover drug deals with less skullduggery than this.
Kevin has good days and bad days. I'm hoping this one's good.
Can't be $140 sopping wet.
He's lost a lot of weight. Remember to face forward.
Remember to face forward.
Could you, please turn the mirror?
I'm gonna let him ask his questions.
I don't know what else I can tell you.
What I'd like to do is ask you some questions, some of which you've heard before, to focus on the suspect's behavior. On that Thursday, your sister left her car in the driveway. Is that right? You approached the house. Did you notice anything different or strange?
Kathy and me were just laughing, talking when we walked in. Then he came out.
What do you remember of his clothes? How he was dressed?
Black golf gloves, green jacket.
Clean, dirty, cheap.
Everything was clean. A lot of pockets. Wanted in California, and I need to get to New York. And the truck keys, I thought he had what he wanted, so he'd go, but he didn't. Made everything sound reasonable.
Where did he get the cord he tied you with?
From his pockets. Made me lie down, and he tied my hands behind my back. Watched him tie my feet. He was fast with nuts. He was almost gentle.
Gentle?
He took a pillow from the bed and put it under my head. He took Kathy into the other room. Then I heard noises.
What kind of noises?
Almost little cries. Then it got real quiet. All of a sudden, a radio came on in my room, loud, around my neck, and he started pulling.
When he was strangling you, did he say anything?
No.
When he was strangling you, could you tell if he had an erection?
I don't know. I couldn't see. I was thrashing around so much, my feet broke loose. I saw him go for the gun. I grabbed at it. I pulled the trigger twice, as hard as I could, but it wouldn't go off.
He'd have had the safety on.
I guess it slipped out of my hands because he had it and he pulled the trigger and one went in the side of my head. I was awake the whole time.
What did you hear next?
Kathy moaned. I must have heard me move because he was on me again. Blew my teeth out. I looked around, for something to hit him with, but I thought the best chance was to get help.
It's the best thing you could have done.
I could have gone back in there.
We'd have lost you both. Kevin, thank you. If you think of anything else.
He wore a watch. Big steel military kind.
Was it at all similar to this one?
It looked like that.
Joseph Otero's watch.
Him, isn't it? BTK.
Bragged about a fifth victim, but he never named her.
I'm out here every time I walk into a store, every time somebody walks into a room.
Where are you gonna go, Kevin?
Just away.
Can't say that I blame him.
Why is her door open? Family?
Honey, did you leave the back door open?
I was taking out the trash.
She's good actress. When you just wake up and the light hits you.
Wendy's almost ready to meet for those Georgia interviews.
Right.
BTK.
He's a new animal. Lots of interesting contradiction.
He brought the little girl to the basement, constructed a ritualized execution. This was a big risk.
Her scene is the only one with semen present.
He only expected the mother and youngest daughter to be home. To the Oteros, all of his victims are women, none of the men were at home. Even though he was surprised during the Bright and Otero murder, somehow manages to overcome his own panic.
Run. He took his time.
Remember, Kemper practiced on dolls, animals. He spent years fantasizing, so he knew exactly how he was going to do it.
White male, late 20s to early 30s, rap sheet.
Difficulty holding more than a menial job.
Kevin said he smelled clean.
Everyone we've interviewed is a product of a difficult home. The only one who managed to keep a job was Brutus, and he was blue collar. He's equating himself with famous killers.
He actually gives himself possible names. The BTK Strangler. Wichita Strangler. Berkowitz also courted the press. He wrote directly to Jimmy Breslin. Like this.
Look at our guy.
Rearranging our interviews to service investigations?
Berkowitz has been on the list since the beginning.
I mean, he's a diagnosed schizophrenic.
So is Kemper as a juvenile.
Walked up to cars, fired 5 shots, and then ran.
We know BTK is inspired by Berkowitz, and he's active. 7 so far, and he's hunting again.
Hence is on death row.
On appeal.
Plenty of time. We'll push him off a week. This is what we're doing now.
Holden brought me here.
Doesn't seem like Holden's scene.
When Holden disappeared those 2 days, he went to see Kemper. Potato.
Panic attacks.
You knew?
I had to retrieve his ass. Had an episode. Even the doctor said it feels worse than it is.
Have serious consequences for us, and very real physiological consequences for him.
Based his vision and his large ass on the Holden Ford miracle. We might not be worth salvaging.
So with this Berkowitz interview, you have got to take the lead. Be anxious, vulnerable, and that could prime him for an episode. Seems manic or overly nervous, fragile.
Should I carry smelling salt?
You see one hint, you get him out of there. Whatever you've done will rethink his investment. On to the next one.
Another round? Leave her alone, Gary. She's with General Patton over there.
I promised to take you out of here and away from all these assholes.
Did you just get into Quantico, Eric?
Yes, ma'am.
Sadly, you are warming up the bat all by yourself tonight. Play for the other team. That really worked. People see what they want to see. Eyes forward, Megan.
6 killed, 7 wounded. Biggest manhunt in U.S. history. I'm not sure he's the madman he makes himself out to be.
That was used to support the random argument.
In couples, the male is usually the driver. He never shot at the driver's side. He unleashed everything on the...
Sorry, Sam. I worked at the post office.
I'm surprised the FBI hasn't come sooner.
We fit you in as soon as we could. You held an entire city in thrall. Discos closed early. It was the largest task force New York ever assembled.
People will still know the name Son of Sam.
You got so much publicity, there's a killer out in Kansas who idolizes you.
Guy's killed 7 so far.
He even made a symbol. Show him the thing.
What is that, boobs?
It's a bee.
It's a complete ripoff.
He breaks into houses, ties them up, strangles them. I am the Son of Sam. Go out and kill, commands Father Sam.
I said call me the 44 caliber killer. Absurd theory the gun somehow symbolized my penis. I'm not some crazed sex killer. People need to know demons are real.
You read a lot about demons and exorcisms before the killings?
We're fascinated by your mindset.
You're adopted, aren't you?
I traced my biological mother. Found out she never wanted me. Adoptive mother told me my real mother died. It's about when I started hearing voices.
The demons.
Possession isn't just what you see on the outside. They use your own voice, your own thoughts against you. Strong enough? They speak their name out loud. I quit my job and locked myself in my apartment. My neighbor Sam had a dog. He kept saying he needed blood. He demanded blood. Sometimes the voices came from inside the walls.
So, not from a dog.
They tormented me. I would tear the walls open looking for him.
Why not plead not guilty by reason of insanity?
I can't pretend to be insane. It came to me, not from me.
Sorry to dwell on it.
I'm in a legal dispute with him.
That book is gonna move like Big Macs. He makes any proceeds off the book, right?
Said it's a legal dispute. I can't discuss the details.
Voices don't interfere with talking to your lawyer, do they? It's a crock, isn't it? You saw a movie, read some books, and made it all up, so if everything went to shit, you'd have a way out. They all bought it, David. Didn't they?
Especially the shrinks. I'm very suggestible.
Did you want to hear voices?
I kept reading about them. You call a sex-starved daydreaming. That's just me. That's not clinical. But even now, I still spend most of my time fantasizing. I never wanted to rape anybody. I just wanted to kill him. Just started driving.
Driving?
All the time. I never knew who it would be. Is that what Kansas does? I studied maps, escape routes. I carried my gun.
Did it have anything to do with lunar cycles?
Fuck no. I hunted every night. Find the right girl, in the right place, the right time. The copycat, he takes things.
Yeah. Did you ever go back to any of the crime scenes?
All the time.
You'd relive it.
Every detail. Sometimes I rolled around in the dirt where they died just to feel it. Again, I never fantasized about sex with violence. Your guy, I guarantee you he goes back. Maybe he just drives by.
Well, he was effing creepy.
His own narcissism forces him to admit that the demons were fabricated.
Crazed killer or possessed? What's the difference?
He can't tolerate his image tarnished by insanity.
He kept making the point that his sexual fantasies were separate from the violence.
Sex offenders are perverts. He's a tormented genius. Killings were foreplay, but he was just as concerned with how he was perceived. And Berkowitz can't control how women treat him or how he fits into his family. Really is just a dumpy, awkward mailman.
He's got a menial job at best.
And no real relationships.
We're gonna have to open up an entire new category. Now we have to consider how they use the media to create their own mythology.
He's not schizophrenic. He does virtually no pre-planning. And there are definite sexual components to his crimes.
Organized or disorganized?
Overall, I'd say he's more organized than not. How was he?
A little stiff at first, to his old cocksure self. You read it.
I'm Detective Spencer with Fredericksburg PD.
Special Agent Tench.
This is Tench. Are you the realtor for 1159 Cimarron Court? To know that the residence is, unfortunately, a crime scene. Body found in the garage. We're investigating it as a homicide. I've just come from notifying next of kin.
That is wrong.
Who has access to or has recently entered the premises? Is it possible any of the doors may have been left open by mistake?
No, I'm always so careful.
I'll need to get the names of anyone that you've taken through the house.
Of course.
This one's got me a little shook up, Agent Tench.
Bill, I get it. Anything you want to share?
I really shouldn't discuss the particulars.
Understood.
We have a lot of latent evidence, and we need to eliminate her. I'm so sorry to have barged in on your evening.
Not a problem. Let me know if I can do anything. Wow. He was rattled.
I can't imagine. Doesn't happen around here.
It happens everywhere, Nance.
I really like her. Well. Okay, that was an amazing episode. I would rate that episode a 10. Wow. I feel like the first episode and the second episode are completely different. I liked the first episode, but the second episode really just gave me what I needed, and it was shorter. It just really was a really amazing episode from start to finish. I was never really a huge fan of Bill Tench. I didn't mind him. I liked following his character, but this episode definitely solidified that I actually really do like that character. The character is so much deeper than I guess what we kind of were getting, or at least I was getting. But following him in this episode primarily, I just fell in love with the character. He's still in, I guess back in the day, or even still, there's a lot of people that don't believe in mental health, or have that mental health is a thing. But luckily, we're so much farther than we are when this was actually what was going on actually is. If that makes any sense. What I'm trying to say, there's a lot of words and all those word things, I'm trying to put it together. What I'm trying to also say is I suffer from EDD, which I've said thousands of times, and I have panic attacks and anxiety attacks. Thank God they don't happen as often. But at one time, I'm telling you, I got it back to back to back to back. And every panic attack or anxiety attack is definitely triggered. It starts from some type of event in your life that was dreadful. And mine happened right after 9/11 happened, and then a month after that my father died, and then I started in high school, so I was in a whole different environment all at the same time. And then I think around my first anxiety attack was either later that year, right around Christmas, or later than Christmas, like the following year, like January, February, around that time. So it wasn't the traumatic event happened within like months apart from each other, and it was dreadful. And ever since then, I always started getting them, and I now know how to control them. But if you don't know how to control your panic attacks or anxiety attacks, which panic attack is so much worse, I feel. And sometimes people won't know the difference. If you never had one, you won't know the difference. But if you had a panic attack, an anxiety attack, you'll know the difference. You will know the difference. Panic attacks generally lead you in the hospital. Anxiety attacks you generally can control and do deep breaths, drink some water, and call it a day. Panic attacks, if you cannot control it, you will end up in the hospital because you feel like you are dying. You feel like you cannot breathe. You feel like you're having a heart attack, and you do not know the difference if you are or not. And to be better cautious, safe than sorry, you go to the hospital. 9 out of 10, especially if it's your first panic attack. What happened to Holden in the last season, the end of last season, and even following him now, is exactly what happened. So shout out for them to highlighting panic attacks and mental, is it called mental disorder? I don't know. A health crisis. It's a health crisis. But anyways, the son of Sam, interesting to say, I actually worked with people that either knew him or knew his father, or worked in the post office at that time. I believe it happened in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, that all these killings were. And I think, don't quote me on it, there was a lady, a blonde lady that he killed that worked at a post office station that I worked at just recently. Like, she used to work there. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me, but the person who told me it is a mailman, and was around, and he actually, my whole station at that time told me that they all worked at this certain location in the Upper East Side, and they knew of him or knew who he was, and everybody was scared. Everybody was scared. They were telling me about this. I didn't live in New York City at that time. I don't know if I was even born. I don't know when this was, but I know I just moved to the city like not that long ago. So I definitely wasn't around. But it was really interesting getting and seeing that this character and like actually hearing him for the first time. And I always wanted to get into Son of Sam. I know there are biographies on him on Netflix, which I was thinking about getting into. So if you guys are interested in that, maybe we will visit those shows. Clearly, it's super early when I'm filming. Y'all know I am stuttering. I'm trying to get my life together and just try to give you this damn outro without stuttering some more. But I'm exhausted. Shout out to me being exhausted. But this episode was definitely rated a 10 out of 10. I loved it. Please, guys, like the video. Please share the video. Definitely comment down below about what you thought of this episode. Just comment down below because I love to read you guys' comments. And I'll see you guys next time with more The Mindhunter.